Hello, and a warm welcome to those of you both new and old to the Appian community. My name is Tim Clarke from Procensol Consulting, and I'm here with a brief discussion today on your roadmap to enablement. Now, these opinions are based on years of pounding the streets in nice shoes and sharp suits, but this time brought to you from the comfort of my own home. This has been my office now for the last 7 months. Like many of you, I've been homebound by recent global events, but thankfully in this digital age, I've seen my role with clients largely unchanged, and I'm still able to connect with you now for this discussion. I've been delivering enablement and delivery services to multiple clients for the last 7 months, as you see me now, sat at home with a headset on. Although personally I prefer a large whiteboard and an obviously engaged audience, but we've all had to find a new normal for our day jobs and ways to keep it honest. Honesty is one of the most important parts of any enablement plan. So let's step through some of the topics today as we would in the real world. But firstly, to set some expectations, this isn't going to be a defined, exhaustive bullet point list of do's and don'ts, because that's impractical. Enablement is a process that should be dependent on your organizational needs and wider goals. I've spent the last 12 years or so now working with the Appian platform in a wide variety of industry sectors and with differing corporate cultures, some highly organized, regimented and efficient, and some more relaxed and perhaps more open to trial and error. This has given me access to a variety of complex point solutions and many highly custom and agile applications. Each and every one of the clients and their solutions have had a differing need for enablement, and the various practitioner levels required to continue maximizing the output of their own Appian roadmap. For now, we're just looking through the eyes of our Assure service and breaking that down into 4 key talking points for enablement, where I feel I can highlight some specific examples of what I've seen, both good and, well, in need of some guidance. Here are the 4 key talking points then for the next 10 minutes or so, and I'll walk us through what they mean to me and how they might or possibly should apply to you. So of course, making a plan is obvious to all of you listening in to me here today. You've all got plans or are even part the way through them, but I want to challenge you on whether your initial plan included your scope for enablement. And I don't just mean booking training courses for some key members of your development team. I'm talking about clearly planning how you're going to empower your stakeholders and project team to take charge of your Appian landscape after your initial delivery phases. Your plan must include forethought on the level of enablement your organization needs. Is your aim to be fully self-sufficient with internal teams of end-to-end practitioners? Maybe a more hybrid approach where you fix and tweak on demand, but are happy to call out for help with the next big development piece? Or do you need the fully managed service, leaving all technical work to external teams and just feeding the requirements in on a regular basis? Whichever you choose, it must be part of your project or program plan. So being smart with your goals is as relevant now as it's always been. The SMART acronym is known by many, I'm sure. It's something that was drummed into me whilst setting out key personal objectives and development plans, which might not sound relevant, but the basic premise is that when you set objectives, they should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. This is an incredibly simple principle, but its underlying message is often forgotten as organizations overreach and underprepare for the next phases of their delivery pipeline. Now, committing to your delivery method again sounds obvious, but when I say commit, I mean commit. Agile, Scrum, Kanban, Excel, or even Post-it notes, I don't have a strong opinion, but the key highlight here is to make sure that everyone in the wider team knows which method you're following and endorses it, and most importantly, uses it in their daily project interactions. I've seen firsthand how using differing methods from top-down or bottom-up can cripple the output of project teams and chip away at both momentum and confidence. Different ends of the project hierarchy, often expecting differing results and in a different order, will often lead to trouble. We move straight into part 2, where we look at the low-code, BPM, intelligent automation, and hyper-automation topics. These are wondrous places where solutions and applications can magically appear within the blink of an eye, or in most cases an 8-week implementation cycle. But those successes are always built off the backs of people who understand the Appian platform and its ecosystem. I mention ecosystem here because when I evangelize the Appian platform, I tend to view it as this moving entity that is often changing and has many, many parts. One of which is its community of practitioners, business leaders, and product owners, many of whom you can learn from and often interact with online on a daily basis. The product documentation doesn't just contain long and complex descriptions of the myriad functions and complex components available. More so, it provides many excellent examples and step-by-step guides on how to create detailed interfaces and complex integrations. The tutorials will teach you how to build out records and display the data on highly customizable interfaces, and how to design attractive and reusable reports for your business data. The discussion boards can obviously yield great benefits to your hands-on practitioners if they reach a roadblock in their development, as some of the world's leading Appian experts share their time to help guide and improve understanding on the product. They will also talk about how to approach problems, not just to solve them. The app market is a treasure trove of experience, bundled into plug-and-play components and full of useful shortcuts. Shortcuts to complex integrations, shortcuts to understanding and using the inbuilt functionality, and shortcuts to full-scale applications that can be added to your own environments. You should always be on the lookout for what's new here, as the community continues to build and share upon their own experience. And a final note here, it's my own personal mission to get everyone involved in project teams to read the release notes and watch the excellent webinar demonstrations by Mr. Appian himself, Malcolm Ross, on what's included in the upcoming releases. And I mean practitioners and business owners here. Use this content to help inspire your own direction and maybe even remove some boundaries on what you thought possible. Remember, it's the marginal gains that separate you from your competitors, and this is somewhere that might just ignite your imagination. Aligning yourself with the best level of experience, knowledge, and someone with the ability to guide and support you along the journey to enablement is one of the biggest decisions to make on any Appian roadmap, I believe. Now, of course, I would think that. I work for a partner organization that's been specializing on Appian services for over a decade, but this is where I've seen many projects lose steam and traction. Ensuring continued confidence from the top down is how you keep moving forward and boosting your Appian plans. Some key points to consider here. Somewhere out there, another organization has faced similar, if not the same problem as the ones you're currently deliberating, and it's likely that someone else out there in the community has solved it. So speak to us about what you're attempting, and we'll tell you what we've achieved and how it can also fit in with your own goals. The expertise that you bring in should also be able to look beyond your modern single view of customer interfaces, your complex RESTful integrations and flowing process logic, to make sure that what's on the surface will also scale as you move to production and hopefully grow the number of interactions or transactions that go through your application. Your solution architect should always be looking far beyond what's immediately in front, and make sure you're considering all possible outcomes. Your chosen partner, or even partners, should be sharing their experience, their insight, and their practical know-how without obfuscation. The Appian community is full of solution accelerators, frameworks, and helpful toolkits to help you quickly elevate your skills, and you should be guided through them to see what can accelerate your timescales or improve given functionality. The last key talking point today is trust. It really is as simple as backing your upfront decisions and commitments and seeing them through to fruition. Don't get distracted, and remember those SMART objectives that you set out in the plan phase, if you did that bit, of course. You're likely already made a significant investment in the platform, and more often than not, we see the initial application or phases of a larger project completed by vendor or partner resource specialists. After that, it's your turn, and here is where I often see organizations attempt to retain those same high levels of velocity and same lofty aspirations, but it's here that I will try to pull in the reins a little and slow things down. When you've moved to a model with more internal delivery resources, you should, at first at least, keep things simple and make sure you retain business confidence and your return on investment by delivering things that work and at least reach their initial scope. I've worked with newly trained developers who are trying to build complex interfaces with dynamic UX components and direct updates to the underlying source data, but they don't know what a record is or how to correctly build and use a process. I will work through these initial learning steps to make sure that team members have a more holistic understanding of the entire platform. It's great if you want a hyper-complex UX, but I'm going to make sure you understand your alternatives before making those decisions. It's far too easy to skip best practices and ignore advice. The beauty of the Appian product is that it's easy to do most things. Most results are achievable with just a sprinkle of thought, much enthusiasm, and some trial and error development. There are nearly always 3 or 4 approaches to solving any problem, but they will all have different considerations, some noteworthy, some may be irrelevant, but often something that will fundamentally dictate which approach should ultimately be taken. This is where you need to seek and listen to advice. This is where you need someone with the experience and architecture knowledge to guide you in the best direction. Alongside that, best practices ensure that anyone should be able to pick up and add benefit to an application. Again, decide upon your best practice guidelines and stick to them. With all of this in mind, we come to technical debt. Now, you think this is a delivery-focused topic, but to me, again, by my own experience, is a mindset hurdle that often needs to be accepted. Technical debt is a byproduct of any solution delivery and often something that gets frowned upon or even feared. It's understandable that certain pieces of functionality or UX design will be left on the cutting room floor in order to be able to hit a deadline. But make sure that it's not forgotten, and if all practical, make allowances in your delivery program to go back and incorporate these forgotten aspects. With a low-code platform, we are in a continuous delivery cycle from day one, not just when the application goes live and is considered BAU. Using something like the HIP sprint found in Agile-based approaches allows for hardening, innovation, and planning, and I will always try and get my projects to include them as part of their development cycles. But HIP is just another acronym. The activities themselves are relevant no matter your chosen delivery method, even if you just write them on post-it notes. And that draws to a close this brief overview on a few key considerations and experiences from over the years. So in summary, make sure you plan for enablement. Ensure you all understand the Appian platform. Find the right experts to align to, and retain trust in the decisions you've made. So that's all we've got time for right now. Thank you for sparing some of your time to listen to me today. And please drop by the Appian Europe 2020 online conference if you have anything in particular you want to discuss. Come and visit us at our sponsors booth, and I'm always happy to talk about the Appian platform. I'll be available to discuss any topic, but in particular, obviously, enablement. And I'll share my current thoughts actually on release 20.3 and how I believe it has fundamentally changed the design approach to Appian applications. And we'll have a number of other experts available online to kind of handle any questions you might have. So thank you all for your time today, and of course, stay safe.